and welcome to episode 77 of the Best Day Ever Crafting Podcast. This is a podcast about my making journey and celebrating with you all the reasons why crafting every day makes for the best day ever. My name is Trisha, and I can be found on Instagram and Ravelry as Tie-Dye Diva. You can also find me in my sticker and stationery shop, which is thefibertree.com. If you love stickers and paper crafting and journaling as much as I do, hopefully you'll get a chance to visit the shop and find something that you love. Let's see, what else do I need to tell you? If this is your very first time here, I am coming to you from the state of Maryland, where I live with my husband and my 30-year-old twin son. So we're like 4 peas in a pod. So I hope everyone is doing well today. This has been a super busy day for me. I have been in a meeting all day. I did work at home today, but I had a virtual all-day meeting, which you think it wouldn't be so bad because you're just sitting, but it's exhausting just being in front of a screen all day. And my presentation was very brief, but still, I'm just so glad that that's done. And now I get to sit in front of a screen again, but for something I enjoy much more. And that's talking with you about what I've been working on in my crafting world for the past 2 weeks. Yes, 2 weeks. I did it. I got back to you all in 2 weeks. I'm so excited about that. That is the schedule that I'm going to try my best to keep going forward. So yes, so happy that I'm able to record today. And today is it's Friday, October the 7th, if you're watching this a few weeks later. So what's on the agenda today? No real business to take care of. We don't have any make-alongs going on. I do still owe a couple of folks prizes. I was hoping to get those out this week. That did not happen. So if you're waiting on a prize from me, I promise it's coming next week. Let's see here. If you're hearing a lot of banging and noise, it's my neighbors. I think they're doing some work upstairs, and I'm really hoping it's not too distracting. So I apologize in advance for that. So today I have a couple of finished objects in knitting, which is exciting because I had finished objects the last time we talked, and I have a couple more this week. I'll share with you progress on my current works in progress, including a new cast on since the last time we chatted, a little bit of paper crafting, a new paper crafting technique I've been working on that I want to share with you. And then we will get a chance to knit and chat today. A couple of you have asked questions that I have not answered, because I said I would save them for here. So hopefully if you ask that question, you're here and you'll get a chance to get the answers. So really looking forward to that. A couple of my favorite podcasters actually knit and chat with their viewers, and I think I want to give that a shot too. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. So let me get a sip of water. Really working on the water intake. This is number 2. This is canister number 2. Hoping I can get one more done before this is almost gone, but hopefully before the day is out, I can get one more in. And let me tell you what I'm wearing. This is the first day I put on a hand knit sweater this season, and it feels so good. So this morning in Maryland, it was in the 50s. It was in the low 50s, and it was a bit chilly. I had the bedroom window open. I had a couple of other windows open, and there was quite a breeze coming in. So because I wasn't working, I was sedentary in the meeting, I was getting quite chilly. So I ran in my room and I put on my love note. I'm sure you know this sweater. You've probably seen it a million times. This is by Tin Can Knits. And this is my love note. You can't see where it hits me, but it's fairly cropped. It's about maybe an inch below my belly button, which for me is really cropped because I have a really long torso. Maybe I can insert a picture of me wearing it right here. So yes, this feels so good. I must admit I hadn't been wearing a lot of hand-knit sweaters because of COVID. I really wasn't going anywhere. But it looks like things are improving. So I've been getting out a lot more lately, and I got a feeling my sweaters are going to get a lot of rotation, and I'm really, really excited about that. Okay, so let's move on into finished objects. The first finished object I will share with you is this cute little beanie. This is called the Vanilla Beanie Dk, and this is a pattern by, hold on, I've got show notes, but I didn't tell you who designed this pattern. It's a yarn shop, and the name is escaping me, so give me 1 second to look that up. This is the second Vanilla Beanie Dk hat I have knit. I enjoyed the first one so much, I decided to make another. So the Vanilla Beanie Dk is a pattern by the Knitting Loft, which I believe is a yarn shop in Canada. Yeah, and here's my version. It's basically really simple. You cast on, there is no ribbing. The brim will naturally curl because of all that stockinette stitch, and you knit stockinette stitch for quite a while. It's a really drapey and slouchy type hat, and then you go into your decreases on the top. So yeah, pretty straightforward. As I said, it's called the Vanilla Beanie Dk hat, but in order to achieve the DK gauge, I use a fingering weight merino cashmere nylon blend, which is from Viola. No, it's from Plucky. Plucky Knitter Primo Fingering. And I held that with mohair silk from Viola yarns. And I really, really love it. The Viola mohair, I don't know whether you can see it. It's kind of like an orangey, more like a rose gold look. So in person, it almost shimmers. It's so pretty. So can I put this on for you today without ruining my hairdo? Let's see, because I want you to see how to style this. You can just wear it like this. I've got a lot of hair up here in the front. That's making it look really full in the front, but if your hair is not as thick as mine, you don't have as much hair. Or I have a large head too. So if your head is much smaller, you can really get some really nice drape with this hat, which is what I intend to do when I tame the front of my hair. So yes, really, really happy to have this off of the needles. I finished this about a week ago. I had to unexpectedly go to urgent care with a family member, so I grabbed the first knitting bag that I saw because I didn't know how long I was going to be there. And I was at the point where I was doing the decreases, and I forgot to take my long needle for magic loop. So I was so determined to finish this hat. I did magic loop on a 16-inch needle. I'm going to insert a picture of that right here. That's what you call being pressed, but I was really determined to finish it. And it worked out really well, actually. I was really surprised how well it worked out. I'm sorry, I had to pause because the noise level was getting to the point where I couldn't even hear myself, so I apologize for that. So this is the Vanilla Beanie Dk by the Knitting Loft. My next finished object are my Rhinebeck Roomies socks. So here they are. Rhinebeck Roomies is a pattern by Kay Litton, better known as the Crazy Sock Lady of the Crazy Sock Lady podcast. And I knit these with At Haynes House yarns. It's one of their fingering bases. It's a merino nylon blend. And I pretty much followed the pattern. I didn't make any adjustments. And I absolutely love these. I love that pattern. It's very easily to memorize. And I think that's about all I have to say about these. Just a really well-written pattern. Kate writes really, really well-written. easy to understand patterns. And again, this stitch, the texture of this stitch is really, really nice. It's almost like a ribbing with a twist. So very, very, very enjoyable. And this yarn color, I mean, so much joy in making these. Really, really enjoyed this color. It's got those purples and pinks with the tonal grays. Really, really pretty. And the color is crocus. And it's at Haynes' house. They're a family of yarn dyers, Brian and Terry, and her daughter and a couple of sons. So they spelled crocus, not like the flower, but like like C-R-O-A-K, which I think is hysterical. So yes, these are my Rhinebeck Roomies socks. And I think I remember last time I recorded, I was talking about my socks and how I wasn't going to use the sock blockers anymore. These, I kind of had to break that rule because this is a ribbing pattern. Even after wetting them and soaking them in the wool wash, they still were so small. I couldn't really see the stitch pattern. So I made an exception and put these on blockers, which I think will be fine. And I'll take them off after I record and store them with my other socks. So yes, 2 finished objects this week, and I'm really, really excited about those. Let's see. The next thing I will share with you are the things I've been working on, the whips I've been working on since we last talked. So the first thing I'll share is the progress on my 2nd Avenue wrap. 2nd Avenue wrap is a pattern by Amy Miller, and I will insert a picture of it right here. So as you can see, it is a long, very, very long rectangular scarf. It's also pretty wide in width. And this is the progress I've made on mine thus far. I think when I recorded a couple of weeks ago, I was only about here, so I've got quite a bit done. As you can see from the picture, it's basically just striped. It starts with a scalloped border. I should start there first. Scallop border with blocks of color. There's stripes. There's a lace section, I believe, right after this solid section here. So some really mindless knitting when you're home watching a movie or out and about. Maybe you're visiting someone or someone's visiting you, but you still want to knit. This is the perfect project for this. So the yarns that I'm using, and I made some adjustments to the colors. Well, let me just show you. Because now I can't remember what I originally said I was going to knit it with. So here you go. There's my palette, very autumnal. I just added this color to the mix. I can't remember. I think I was going to do a charcoal for my next section, and I don't even know why I was going to do a charcoal. I think I was trying to play on this black, and I thought I saw charcoal in here, but there isn't. So I got to looking at it, and I just wasn't feeling that charcoal. So I substituted the charcoal for this beautiful skein, which is by Dapper Dye Works. This is, I can't remember the name of the base, but it is a BFL sock fingering weight. It's really, really pretty. That's pretty true to color right there. So I think this will be the perfect addition to hit against this block of color here. Yep. So making really good progress with that. Really, really excited. All of the, well, 3 of the colors are Plucky from Plucky Knitter, and they are all Primo fingering. And this one here is from Hue Loco. Beautiful color. This is, I'm pretty sure she's not selling this anymore. This is Deep Stash from a couple of years ago. And again, the Dapper Dye Works. Yep, so really excited about this. It's moving along pretty good. And I have this in one of my beloved Fat Squirrel fiber bags. Okay, next up is my, no, I'll save that for last. Let's see, what else do I have in here? Let me look. I kind of felt like there was something else. Oh, I guess, so that was my other way. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to share with you is, this is something you have seen before, but you haven't seen it in a while if you've been watching for a while. So remember when we did the vest along a couple of months ago? And I didn't finish my vest because I made the terrible mistake of knitting the front twice. No, I knit the back twice. So I wanted to do the V-neck option, but I ended up knitting the back twice. So basically I had two crew neck. Well, it would have been two if I'd have kept it that way, and I did keep it that way. I had the option to rip back and work on the, just, you know, get to a point where I could actually create the V-neck, but there would have been a lot of ripping back. So I decided not to, and it sat in timeout for a while. And I said, you know what? I really want to get this off of the needles. It's getting cool. I really wanted this finished object anyway. So I took it out and I examined a way to make it work with the mistake that I made and not having to rip out. And I think it worked out pretty good. So here is my progress on my trim vest. This is a pattern by Blacker Yarns. And as you can see, it starts out with a really deep ribbing. And this is a broken rib. And hopefully you can also tell that it's a high-low. So the back is a little bit higher, a bit lower than the front. Put that a little closer so you can see there. And that broken rib is also repeated on both sides, both side panels. So to make this work without having to rip back, I decided that I would knit the front and the back shoulders, the piece that I'm holding now, that I would knit let me make sure I get this right. I knit the front shoulders a couple of inches longer than they were. And by doing that, I would create more of a scoop neck, as you can see there. And would make, when I would pick up for the ribbing, then I would make sure that the front would be lower than the back. And that worked out really, really well. So there's my, I had to actually pick up the stitches for the ribbing on the neckline. That turned out really well. The only thing I wish I would have done is, so this is the front of the sweater. I wish I would have started picking up for the stitches in the back. Now I have to be really meticulous about weaving in this in the front and just making sure that that meets up with the other side really nicely. So if you have any techniques for that, because I feel like I always struggle with that, making that look nice and neat, and I really want it to look nice and neat. The yarn is Kelborn Woolen Scout, which is a 100% wool, and the color is Mulberry Heather. It is knit on a US 6. This is a DK weight yarn, so it goes pretty quick. Goes pretty quick, and it would have been done had I not made that mistake. So this is my vest. I've got the neckline done. I've got one arm sleeve, one armhole just about done. And then I just have to pick up for this armhole and it'll be done. So hopefully next time we chat, I will have a new sweater. This is my first time, I think this is my first time making a vest. So I'm really, really excited about this. If this works out well, I may cast on for another one because I really, really wanted that V-neck, but not enough to rip back. This is hanging out in another one of my favorite Fat Squirrel Fibers bags. she just recently had an update. So I think I peeked a couple of days ago. There were still a couple of bags there. So hopefully you get a chance to go there and visit and find something you love. I just realized I didn't put my notions pouch back in my bag. I'm really trying to stay tidy because it usually looks a mess after I podcast. So really trying to keep things tidy. Okay, so it's just one more whip I want to share with you, which is a new whip since I last recorded. I decided to cast on for another ranunculus by Midori Hirose. I loved my ranunculus so much, I decided to cast on for another one. But this time, I'm using mohair silk and fingering. So I'm gonna hold it back, because I think if I hold it back, you get to see the color really, really good. And I bring it up a little closer. So if you have knit this, you know how it goes. It's beginning with a yoke, a circular yoke, and it's got some sections of lace that you can see there. And now I'm at the point where I'm working on some raglan increases and loving every minute of knitting my second ranunculus sweater. So let me show you what yarns I'm using. This beautiful color here is from Plucky Knitter. And this color is called, I almost want to say Don't Go Over Bordeaux is the name of the color. So beautiful. And the mohair silk that I'm using is from Scandinavian Knit and Weave, and I can't remember the color. Maybe I can put it down so you can see. But it's got some, it's very autumnal. It's got some golds and deep purples and orange, and it's absolutely stunning. Browns, burgundies. It's just like autumn in a hike, in a skein, in a ball of yarn. And together, they're making a beautiful fabric that I absolutely love. This light above me is really washing out the color. Maybe I'll insert a better picture here so you can really get a feel for the color. But really, really enjoying this project. You've watched other podcasters gush and compliment this pattern. Everything they say is true. It's quick, it's easy, it's an amazing sweater. It really, really is. My first ranunculus, if you remember, I knit short sleeve. This one, I'm just gonna knit the sleeves as long as my yarn lasts. So we'll see how that goes. If I can get at least to elbow length, that would be awesome. I'm wearing, as you could mention earlier, I am wearing my Love Note by Tin Can Knits, and even though it is short sleeve, it's still pretty warm. So if you're like me and you're in that season of life where you only have two temperatures, I'm either really, really hot or really, really cold, then maybe you want to investigate knitting short sleeve sweaters. Besides the fact that I do hate knitting sleeves, but they can be surprisingly warm, especially if you layer them with a long sleeve shirt, like a long sleeve tee. I like to layer my short sleeve sweaters with like long tunic style crisp white shirts. That's a really nice look with leggings or jeans. And again, keeps you nice and toasty. Okay, I think that's all I have to share with you as far as my knitting is concerned. So let's still on the subject of knitting, let's talk about some dream knitting. So how many of you are doing the West Knits knit along? I wasn't going to do it because I just cast on for the ranunculus and I've got a pretty big project in my 2nd Avenue wrap. But I drank the Kool-Aid. I'm watching all the other podcasters knitting their West Knits shawl, and I missed it last year, and I didn't want to miss out again. So I just had to resign myself that I probably will not finish in 4 weeks. That's a lot of knitting. Not if I want to keep up with my other projects. So I'm just going to cast on, hopefully tonight, and finish when I can. But I'm really, really excited. And let me show you the colors that I chose. I may have snuck away from my meeting today to play in my yarn stash to pick out my my colors. Shh, don't tell anybody. Okay, so I think these are my colors. I might switch up a little bit, but this is what I've settled on thus far. So this gray here, which is Plucky Knitter. This is their Snug Fingering Base, which is a Merino Cashmere Alpaca blend. I love this blend. And then this here is La Bien and Me. This is their Merino Singles. So it is 100% superwash Merino. And the color is Madeline. And again, this is Urban. As you can see, this Urban, even without holding up this color, it does have like a pinky, almost purplish look to it. So it works out really, really well with these. So these are my two main colors, and this is my contrast color. So I'm thinking a couple of things. I know for sure, I think I know for sure that I want to do this, but I'm thinking about changing the gray to like a lime, or maybe I'll keep the gray and do it with the lime in this color. I want something really fun, and I kind of feel like these are a bit too conservative. So I got some decisions to make because I haven't cast on yet. It started yesterday, and a new clue is going to come out next Thursday. So I got to make some decisions, and I'm going to be away this weekend. I think I'll have quite a bit of downtime, knitting time. That's my plan. So I want to get this wound up before I leave this evening. So we'll see. But anyway, yes, I drank the Kool-Aid. I am going to do the West Knits knit along, and I'm going to just take my time and enjoy the process and finish when I finish. So stay tuned for that. This is hanging out in a project bag that I made, and the name of this pattern is escaping me. Jade Prosser is the designer of the bag. It's the bucket something, but I can't think of it. Cannot think of the name, but I think it's going to be perfect to hold all my yarn and the project. So I'll link to all the things I talk about in the show notes. There will be a link to the show notes in the description box below. And yeah. Okay. Let's see, anything else in knitting? So another thing I'm going to be casting on very soon is the Bandana Cowl, which is a pattern by Pearl Soho. They are doing a make-along for the Bandana Cowl, which starts next week, but you're allowed to cast on at any time. So I hope some of you guys are doing that too, and we can knit along together with that. I'm going to insert a picture of the Bandana Cowl right here. And then finally, in dream making, one of my favorite podcasts, which is The Knitting Place, they will soon be hosting a make-along for the Letho sweater, which is a pattern by Natasha Hornby. I've been eyeing that sweater for basically since it came out. I think it's probably been out for about a year now, because I remember several people wore it to Rhinebeck last year. So I really want to make that sweater, and I felt kind of intimidated by it. So the fact that the Knitting Place is doing a make-along, which will include live Zoom chats, is very appealing to me. So I think I'm going to learn some new skills and have a beautiful sweater in the end. So excited about the Letho sweater. Okay, I think that's it for actual knitting stuff. So let's move on into acquisitions. I got a couple of acquisitions. So last weekend, we were away for a little weekend getaway. We actually went to a wine tasting in just outside of Richmond, Virginia, which was a very, very nice. I believe it was called the Powhatan Wine Festival. Really, really nice. As you know, the weather last week was really, really bad up and down the East Coast because of the hurricane. And so many, many prayers and thoughts are with those who were really deeply affected by that storm. The devastation was just mind-blowing. So we got quite a bit of wind and rain, and Richmond also did. But it was so interesting because we decided to go anyway because we'd already purchased our Airbnb accommodations, and we couldn't cancel. I don't think we could cancel. And I think we were just craving some time away. So we decided to go. And wouldn't you know that the entire time we were there, it didn't rain. The sun actually came out a couple of times. And it was a really, really nice outing. So while we were there, we were only there for a night. The next day, someone asked, is there anywhere anyone else wants to go? So I was like, yes. I looked up, and there is a knitting store called the Knitting Bee. I would love to peek in really, really quick. So our driver, thank you, John, was kind enough to take me to the Knitting Bee. So the Knitting Bee is on 3 Chopped Road in Richmond, Virginia. Here's their bag. And I didn't have my camera with me, so I didn't get a chance to take any pictures or footage of that yarn shop. If you're from that area and that is your local yarn shop, then you're so fortunate. So fortunate. Definitely let me know if that's your local yarn shop. It was amazing. It was so nice. She had a nice mixture of hand-dyed and other yarns, like a lot of Barocco, a lot of Rowan, a lot of Noro, but just beautiful samples. So let me just show you what I got. The sample sale. If you go to a yarn shop or a festival and there's a sample knit up in something, you just, as knitters do, you want to make it. So I saw a sample of a cowl called the Converging Lines cowl. I'm going to insert a picture of it here. Absolutely beautiful. And I had my friend Doreen was there with me. Hey, Doreen. And normally a cowl that is styled like this doesn't fit across my shoulders, but this cowl just seemed to be really, had a nice stretchability without losing the pattern. So I said, Doreen, put this over my shoulders. Let me know if this actually fits, and it did. So I was sold. And the yarn, oh, it was so luscious and beautiful. I think their color was a gray, but they didn't have any more of that gray. See, I told you, because samples sell. So I picked up this color to knit a Converging Lines cowl with. So the yarn is the Fiber Company Road to China Light. It is a luxurious blend of cashmere, camel silk, and baby alpaca. So this is showing up really, really blue. It's more like a bluish green. So when I hold it up to my sweater, now you can really see that really pretty green coming through. If I put it up here against the picture, yep, that's it. That's the color. So excited about this. This color is Sapphire. So at some point, I will be knitting the Converging Lines cowl. I picked up another pair of 32-inch US 1 needles for my sock knitting. And I also picked up a couple of these. I have some of these in my stash, but the Grocery Girls has everybody wanting to add bling to their projects. They're knitting hats with bling and sweaters with bling, which is this really, really lightweight, I think it's a lace weight or even a cobweb weight yarn. This particular one is from Lana Gata. It's called Palettes. And this is a silvery purple. And then I got another one in a black. So I thought this would be fun to add to some hats for the season. They're just really good to have in your stash. And they're a pretty good price point, like $5 each. And I picked up some point protectors. As long as I've been knitting, I swear, this is something I don't have a lot of. These point protectors here. Okay, so I picked those up. Then I noticed as I was leaving out, they had a huge basket full of these adorable felted balls. So I picked up a handful of them. And my goal, I'm gonna string these together and make a necklace. That's my goal. So I gotta figure out the strategy for that. Stacy, will you help me with this? Stacy is the jewelry maker. She's made me beautiful stitch markers and things. So I'm gonna see if she can help me out with figuring out how to make a necklace out of these beautiful felted balls. So not only are they felted wool, but they also have some beads strung through them. Really, really nice. So I picked that up, and I also picked up 2 of these. This is Shopple Wool, Shopple Edition 6. If you've knit with the Zobber Ball, Shopple Wool Zobber Ball, this is like a miniature Zobber Ball. It's about 300 meters of yarn. And they also had a sample of a welted cowl made out of this that I fell in love with. So this is the pattern. If you can see, it looks like it's rows of knit and purl, which gives it like that. Here's a better picture. But can you imagine it in the stripe? And this is the sample that they had. They had one knit up with this yarn here. So this would be a fun cast on. Another mindless knit with beautiful results. Okay, that, and then the only other thing I picked up from there were some stitch markers. Let me see. I think I got 2 packs of stitch markers. Let's see. At least I meant to. Nope, I only got 1 pack. So these are from Fiber Circle, a Texas yarn company. And it's a set of, how many come in here? 6. A set of 6 stitch markers. And this is how they look. And I got this one because there are cats on it. So you guys know how much I love cats. So there's a cat knitting. How cute is that? There's another one that says home is where the yarn is. Another one says this is my kind of foreign language. And at the bottom it has the abbreviations for knitting. Which is really, really cute. Yeah, so I thought this was really, really cute. Knitting is cheaper than therapy. So true, I think. So much yarn, so little time. Yeah, so really, really nice. Again, fiber circle. Oh, I did buy 2. I was actually getting a bit disappointed because this is the one I really fell in love with. So this one is just beautiful images of Afro-American women. This so reminds me of one of the sticker sets I have in the shop. Look at that. How gorgeous is that? Look at the woman with the head wrap. So beautiful. So yes, I had to have these. Again, this is Fiber Circle, a Texas yarn company. I got a feeling, I feel a little addiction coming on. There's one more. How beautiful is she? Yes. So again, the knitting bee, thank you so much for being so kind and welcoming. There was a cute dog. Oh my goodness. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw me holding this dog. So precious. So precious. So really had a great time at the knitting bee. What else is coming? 2 subscriptions have come in. The October Farmer's Daughter Sock Squad is here. Hello, Autumn. How beautiful is this? This is my redeeming skein, I call. If you recall, I wasn't crazy about last month's. But this, yes, this is going to stay out because this may be a new pair of socks soon. This ball band wants to keep popping off. Again, Farmer's Daughter Sock Squad. And also my Yarnable by Hypnotic Yarn came in. This color is called Laugh S'more, Worry Less. How beautiful is that? I gotta knit faster or either grow some more hands or something. I'm knitting as fast as I can. I just can't keep up with all the beautiful yarns. And as you know, the Yarnable subscription also always comes with goodies. It's a themed package. So the theme for this month is, of course, s'mores. Look at the cute bag. Can you even stand it? Now, I'm really not a fan of s'mores. I think I've only had s'mores once in my life, but I'm going to go with this. I'm going to go with it, and I'm going to use up all of my goodies. I think this is the first time I've gotten something edible in my box. Let me make sure this is edible. Yes. It's called Mars. Mars Halos are a hug for your mug. Just set them on top of a cup of cocoa, coffee, or tea, and they'll melt perfectly into your cup. So doesn't that sound yummy? And here is, this is interesting. So you mix this in, it looks like it's marshmallows and maybe some sugar and cocoa. You mix this in with some cream cheese and whipped topping, chill for 2 to 3 hours, and serve with animal or graham crackers. This might be my most favorite Yarnable club yet. I really, really love everything in here. So thank you, Yarnable. So much fun. Okay, so let's move on into paper crafting, and I will quickly share with you a new project that I'm working on. I enrolled in a program called Fodder School. So as you know, I'm a planner. I plan in my planner every week, but I'm really starting to love and embrace journaling. I love everything about it. I love how I'm able to express myself. Even if I'm not really journaling, if I'm not really writing anything down, it's amazing how you can use paper and other ephemera and decor to express your mood. And I just find that to be so, so therapeutic. So Fodder School is a year-long course in which every month you learn a new technique that you can use in your journals. And fodder, basically, you think about it as like food for your journals. So basically, you're making things that you can include in your journals. And with these techniques that you learn, you can also apply them to other things. So it started in October. And the first thing that we are learning is how to do jelly plate printing. Jelly as in G-E-L-L-I printing. So I am hesitating because I'm looking for my jelly plate. So this is one of my jelly plates. I was really hoping to show you my smaller one, but it's in the kitchen because I washed it last night. So I have a smaller one, which is probably about 5 by 7 inches. And one of the beginning instructors and instructions really encouraged us to get the larger jelly plates. So that's what I did. I picked up the larger one from Amazon, and this one is 12 by 14. And with the jelly plate printing, basically what you do is you apply your paints to the jelly plate, and then you use mark making tools to create designs in your paint. And then you're able to take your paper and put it over top of the paint that has your design etched in it. And that can be done by hand. It can be done with a stencil. It can be done with mark making tools. And then, so you lay the paper on, you smooth it out with your hands, and then you lift the paper off, thereby lifting off the ink as well as the design. And it is such an amazing and rewarding process. I would love to do a video on it. I'm not an expert, and this is not my first time doing jelly plate printing, but I feel like every time I do it, I get better and better at it. It is not difficult to learn at all. There's no wrong way of doing it. It's so fun. It's so fun. It's so relaxing and meditative. So I'm going to show with you a few of my favorites that I have printed. So here's one, and this one was done with this leaf here. This was just picked off of a vine from my backyard. Isn't that amazing? How amazing is that? This might not be the one, because these look a little bigger. Maybe there was another one I picked out, or maybe this is starting to shrink. But you get the point. So, and the paper that I'm using, they recommend that you use an artist grade tissue paper. I don't have your artist grade tissue paper. I do have plain tissue paper. They discourage like tissue paper for wrapping because it's not as strong as artist grade. But I tried it with regular gift wrapping tissue paper, and it worked fine. This, however, is a piece of pattern paper. It was from a pattern I was never going to use, and it worked out well. This particular pattern just happened to be on white paper. Normally, patterns are on this brown paper, which I will also be using for jelly plate printing and other projects. But since I did have a pattern that was made with white tissue paper, I went with that. So love, love, love this one. Here's another. This was done with a stencil. This one was also done with a stencil. This one here was done. This was actually stamped several times. I could never get it to look exactly how I wanted. I think I started out with some leaves, and I just didn't like it. So I just kept stamping until I came up with something that I love. And this, I love. So much fun, y'all. So much fun. And the paints are acrylic paints. This, again, was done with a stencil. Let's see here. Here's another one that's a bit more subtle with the leaves. So sometimes when you do, most of the time, when you lift up the paper the first time with the first application of paint, there will be paint left on the jelly plate, which is referred to as the ghost print. So then you can take another sheet and lay it on top of that paint that's left over, the ghost print, and pick up another image, which usually is a lot more subtle than the original image. There's some more blues and browns. We're also learning how to mix color, how to take primary colors and turn them into your desired colors. That's a challenge for me, I must admit, but again, I'm enjoying the process. So many, I don't know how many of these let me just lift this up. Let me lift up my pile to show you how much I've been enjoying this. I've been really having a good time. Let me show you just a couple more. This was just drawn with a paintbrush into the paint. This one here, this paper here is deli paper. Just picked it up from Amazon. Yep, deli paper, the same paper that they use to wrap up your sandwiches at the sandwich shop. Works really, really well. And that image was another leaf that I picked up from my backyard. Still got some paint on it. I think one of the instructors said that what happens sometimes is that the paint will almost like encapsulate the leaf and preserve it. I don't know if that's going to happen with these, but I'm going to hold on to them and see what happens. I'm going to put them back between some books so that they can stay nice and flat. And we'll see how long they last. And this one here is a bit grungier looking. You can see it's got several different colors. This was also done with a stencil. Love that, love it, love it, love it. Yeah, guys, so really having a good time with this. Next week, we will get the lesson in which we will learn how to use these prints. So I will be sharing with you my progress and the things that I'm making. There's another one. With these papers, right now, I have no idea what we're gonna do with them. I'm just going along for the ride and enjoying the process so much. So yes. So I think that's pretty much it. That's all I have to share with you. So let's see, we have time for a little bit of knitting and chatting. I think I'm gonna work on my ranunculus while we knit and chat, and I answer a question that came up recently. So someone asked me on YouTube, actually, what is it about plucky yarn that I love so much? And there's so many answers to that. So first of all, I have to thank Arthella, who used to podcast with me, for introducing me to plucky. Now, when I first started, I remember going to my very first yarn shop, my very first local yarn shop. I didn't know there was such a thing as a yarn shop. I didn't know there was such a thing as people dyeing yarns. I just thought it all came from, I don't know, wherever Red Heart comes from. That was all I was familiar with. I mean, I knew that sheeps made wool, but I was very ignorant of the whole process of how wool is made. And I just thought even acrylics were wool because it was yarn. Anyway, as I began this journey of really getting into knitting patterns that were written by other people and getting to understand the whole process of indie dyed yarn and yarn festivals, I just dove in. I just found it all so fascinating. And I remember Othello was over one evening, and I was slowly building up my stash, and I was showing her things that she had never even heard of before. And she said, well, do you have any plucky? And I was like, no, what is plucky? So she was like, woo, let me tell you. And the rest is history. So my first recollection of seeing plucky was at Fiber Space years ago. It had to have been at least 10 years ago. Fiber Space had a trunk show of plucky yarns. And I went, and I was still trying to wrap my brain around the cost of hand-dyed yarn at that time. I just didn't get it. I'm like, it's just wool. Why would I pay $25? Look, back then, sock yarn was $19 to $25. Now you're hard pressed to find sock yarn for less than $30. I just didn't get it. Of course, you know that I got over that really, really quickly. So I was kind of like in the in-between stage at that point. But when I went to Fiber Space, to the trunk show, I was sold. I have never seen such beautiful colors. And it wasn't just the colors. It was the saturation of the colors, but it was also the color combinations that Sarah put together. At the time, Plucky was owned by Sarah Diamond and her sister Haley Sharping. And as I got into Plucky and getting to know their yarns and, you know, loving their patterns and the whole community that they were building on Instagram and the Ravelry group, an actual friendship developed between me, Sarah, and Haley. I found out we had a lot in common, and I literally watched them grow their business. And again, just loving all the colors, all the patterns. They're the ones I can attribute to helping me to appreciate that you don't have to knit complicated patterns to have beautiful finished knitted objects, that you just need really beautiful yarn. So a lot of their patterns were really simple, but the colors were I just fell head over heels for that. And like I said, the community they developed, it was just so much fun. Lots of giveaways and prizes. There was always something fun going on with Plucky. But again, it's always been about the colors, and not just the colors. The other part was the quality of the yarn. So I had knit with merino and cashmere blends, but there is something special about Plucky's merino cashmere blends. It's just, I have not experienced anything like Plucky bases when it comes to merino cashmere. Then they have some that are blended with alpaca, as I showed you before. There are some blended with yak. Then there's the 100% cashmere yarns. And at the time, I still found it very difficult to afford those yarns. So I just paced myself when they had a sale or they had one-hit wonders where the colors are off. I would pick up a couple of skeins there, and I slowly built up my Plucky stash. Well, since that time, Plucky has changed ownership, and I still love their yarns. I haven't purchased as much Plucky as I did in the past because Sarah and Haley are no longer running the company. I'm pretty sure I will purchase more Plucky in the future, but it doesn't have as much, it doesn't have the emotional appeal for me as it used to. But I have a lot of it in my stash, and I still absolutely love it. I still knit with it every opportunity that I get, because it's just beautiful yarn. And I do like that they still have really, really good sales. They have grab bags where you can purchase yarn for sometimes like 10 bucks a skein. So definitely get on their mailing list. I am not affiliated with Plucky in any way. I'm just a fan. I've always been a fan of their yarn. I don't know what their business model is now because I don't keep up with them since it has changed ownership. But the colorways are still absolutely beautiful. So I hope that answers your question, why I love Plucky so much. Let me know if you enjoyed this knit and chat feature. If you did, I can do it more. If you have other questions you'd like to ask about the podcast, then leave them in the description box below. Send me a message on Ravelry, send me a message on Instagram, and I would be more than happy to answer it for you. So this was fun. I really enjoyed this. This was a wonderful way to end the week. And if all goes well, I will see you again in a couple of weeks. Keep knitting, keep finding so much joy in your working, in your making, in your working too, but especially in your making. Let me know what you're working on. Post your finished objects in the Ravelry group, especially if you're doing the Stephen West knit along. I want to know how many of you are actually doing that, because it'll be fun to make along together. So I'm going to end it here. Again, thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you again in a couple of weeks.